Welcome back to yet another pop-up live event where we unpack multifamily underwriting and passive investing one step at a time. And I want to talk about a topic that's somewhat personal to me, specifically the limiting beliefs and fears holding you back. But before we dive in, for those who may be tuning in for the first time, my name is Vessi Kapulian, former commercial lender turned real estate investor. And today I partner with high achieving professionals who are looking to create additional income streams and tax efficiencies. And I connect them with well vetted, cash flowing investments in apartments. I also work with investors new to multifamily to help them learn how to underwrite apartment deals with confidence and ease. And last but not least, I also partner with family offices providing strategic advisory services. But without further ado, I want to talk about a topic that is somewhat personal to me. It is personal because there namely the limiting beliefs and fears that many new investors experience. And I say personal because I experienced some of those fears myself. I also connect with investors, speak with investors, active and passive, on a daily basis. And over the years, have found that I was not alone in that journey, meaning that a lot of people share those beliefs. So today, I want to speak to some of those and how I was able to overcome some of those fears, and hopefully, this will serve you on your own journey, or at least serve as a point of reflection that will allow you to move one step further along your own investing journey. So, one of the most common ones, particularly when it comes to evaluating opportunities, investment opportunities. Hey, I'm not an underwriter. I never worked in banking or finance. Well, neither was I. Even when I first started in banking, I was really not born knowing how to analyze a deal. But I was willing to take action and learn and really roll my sleeves up and do the work. Even when I first started, right, I was doing a lot of projects or jobs that typically an analyst would do. And I was an MBA, starting a new job and working as a relationship manager at a major bank. But I'm really happy that I went through that experience, because taking a step back to take two steps forward was extremely helpful for me and valuable in my own journey, because I was able to learn the fundamentals, going through a structured curriculum, learning step by step the fundamentals of underwriting, and then taking the extra step to practice by doing the work myself versus delegating to others, and then really mastering the craft of the analytical aspect of the work. Over time, of course, then in my journey, I started delegating some of that work, but it was important to learn the fundamentals. And you can read a lot, especially in today's day and age when there's a ton of free content out there. But we as humans, I think, tend to learn most by doing and practicing. So I wasn't born with that skill, but I knew I was capable of doing it, and I had the belief that I can do it. So it was a matter of overcoming that initial fear, and I feel that is the case with a lot of investors. Initially, they're maybe apprehensive, but when you go through the first analysis of your first deal, the second one is a little easier. The third one is a lot more easier than the first two, and before you know it, you will be in a position to quickly evaluate those deals once you have learned the fundamentals. What if I still miss something? That is very important question, and the reality is it's always possible that you miss something. And that's why it's always helpful to, especially in the beginning, to work with a mentor, coach, a guy who can hold your hand in the beginning, and hopefully point some of those traps or red flags or areas that you may otherwise overlook. Being part of a community of like-minded individuals is also important, so you can cheer each other, help support one another. And oftentimes it also helps you get unstuck, right, and overcome some of those fears and limiting beliefs. I have never done this before. Well, if you're new to anything, you probably haven't done it before. So if you're new to multifamily, maybe you haven't done a deal before, right? And so it's important to have a system, a structured a system that will help you get unstuck in the beginning and guide you step by step through the process. And once you learn that system, and again, a lot of it comes not only from reading about it, but also doing and practicing, then you develop more confidence over time. Underwriting is too complex. Well, yes, that could be true, but not when it's broken down in clear and repeatable steps. And that complexity turns into clarity with practice. And so, yes, it can be complicated, but there are a lot of things that are complicated, right? Engineers are not born knowing how to launch rockets in space, right? They learn this step by step and master the craft over years. So as long as it's something you're interested in doing, you're ready, willing, able, have that burning desire to learn, it is possible. And most importantly, it's not only to learn, but also when it comes to investing, is protecting your capital. That's extremely important. And one of the ways you can mitigate the risk of capital loss is doing the due diligence upfront. So underwriting being one step of the due diligence process. I do not have the time. That's very real, especially for high achieving, busy professionals. And neither did I, right? That's a very easy, I call it excuse really to make. And I'm sorry for being blunt, but I want to be blunt here. If you're ready, willing, and able, there's no reason stopping you to carve out time. And it doesn't have to be hours and hours a day. You can start with something small, like maybe 30 minutes a day, right? And maybe cut out 30 minutes of Netflix or TV watching or something else that may be distracting you along your journey, and dedicate those 30 minutes instead to going through the educational material or practicing underwriting a deal. If you have an hour a day, even better, or an hour a week, whatever you can dedicate. It doesn't have to be a big, grandiose step. You can start with one small step, but making sure you are consistent in that journey. I was taking care of a sick parent, had a full-time, very, very demanding job when I started this journey. And no, I couldn't dedicate 8 to 10 hours a day. Absolutely not. But I could carve out a little bit of time before work, a little bit of time after work, if as needed, during lunch breaks or coffee breaks. And it may not seem like a lot, but it actually adds up, especially if you do it more than one day a week, right? If you do it 5 days a week or 6 days a week, that's possible. And again, in my case, I also decided to utilize weekends because I had a specific timeline that I was after, but it is possible to do if you are consistent in it. And again, it doesn't have to be a lot of time. You can carve out time, a little bit of time, and keep at it. Uh, Last but not least, there are no good deals in this market. Well, I will tell you, there's never a perfect time, right? If you had asked me about how easy it is to get deals back in 21, it was extremely hard. Why? Because yes, credit was widely available. Yes, credit was cheap, but yes, there was a ton of deal flow, but deals were also very, very competitive to get. For my first deal, I think I've shared the story before, I had to analyze over 180 deals. That's roughly one a day before I was able to get one under contract. And of those 180, only about maybe five were worthy of a letter of intent, and of those five, only one panned out. So it was definitely a numbers game, and it still is a numbers game. Now, in the current environment, the deal flow is constrained, although it's starting to come back. It's not as elevated as it was, say, back in 21, early 2022, before the Fed started raising rates. Admittedly, you could say that there are less buyers on the market, but it's now extremely difficult to find deals that pencil out due to for a variety of reasons that I've shared in prior calls. I'm happy to have a conversation with you offline so I can make sure I stay on point. But it's never a good time. And in fact, the best time to learn how to underwrite and evaluate deals is when the market is a little bit slower, because the last thing you want is getting a deal in your inbox and not knowing how to evaluate it, or even worse, jumping to the wrong conclusion, getting into the wrong deal and losing your money and or that of your investing partners. So I hope today's pop-up introduced at least a few, not only my personal experiences, but at least a few ideas that you can take and apply into your own journey, and hope it helps you get unstuck. Happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you. If you'd like that, simply send me a direct message on LinkedIn, or comment with your information in the YouTube comments below, and I'm happy to get connected with you. Also, as a way to thank you for joining live, I wanted to share that I'm officially kicking off Thanksgiving week, and I have a special promotional offer that is available only to the first five people who join, and only for a limited time during this holiday, namely to join the course and community. It's a self-paced course and community, mastering multifamily underwriting, for a very attractive price. Today, I'm actually offering 1 year free access to the community if you purchase the course. I will not have that offer out there for too long, for a variety of reasons, but I would like to give you the opportunity to join a community of like minded, positive investors who are looking to level up their underwriting skills. A lot of my students, I worked with them, and not only one-on-one but also through the community interaction. So not only the one-on-one interaction, but through the community interaction, they're building relationships and connections, and looking at projects together, evaluating deals together. Most are in a position to underwrite their first deal from beginning to end within about 10 to 12 weeks, and many have already done their first deal. And again, this is something you can do at your own pace, but if you're looking for speed and efficiency, the program has proven the results, mostly through the success stories of my students. So if you wanted to chat more about it, let me know. I will also include a link to the special limited time promotional offer in the comments. And I wish you a blessed day and a blessed weekend, and I will connect with you next week. Ciao.